Hello and welcome once again everyone. Today's video features the brand new Tier 7 Premium light German cruiser Munchen. Before diving straight into a full review of the Munchen, let me quickly put up the full recommended build based on what I've learned from playing the Munchen during the various testing phases. The Munchen is now in its final state for release, and all the numbers when it comes to the ship's various stats based on this specific captain build is what you will see exactly the same on the live server. I was quite excited by the prospect of yet another new German cruiser coming to the game, as we've had some very strong Kriegsmarine additions recently, like the Odin and Pommern for example. I must admit being rapidly sent back to port during my first few excursions with the Munchen, being literally caught by surprise how lightly armoured and squishy it felt initially. To understand how lightly armoured Munchen is, let's quickly pull up a port view of the armour layout. This is for all intensive purposes a Nürnberg hull with a very similar layout. What immediately stands out is the 16mm protection on both bow and stern sections. At Tier 7, this can present real issues. Even the Scharnhorst, with its 283mm, is capable of overmatching Munchen through both bow and stern, so extreme caution is advised whenever a battleship has you in their sights. Munchen gets an upper plate of 20mm and a main citadel armour plate of 50mm. 25mm of deck armour, which is probably its strongest feature. Munchen gets an additional aft end plating of 30mm, which does provide some extra protection while kiting away, but don't expect any miracles. Even the superstructure only gets 10mm of armour, while the 8 main gun turrets are also very lightly armoured. The frontal plating of 100mm is as good as it gets. Very light armour combined with relatively low hit points for Tier 7 of 30,200 basically puts Munchen at the low end, just a little ahead of the Atlanta. Munchen does at least have a torpedo damage reduction of 10%, which is better than nothing of course, but having quality German hydro, when used properly, will go a long way to preventing torpedo hits. Munchen gets no repair party, so avoiding torpedoes and citadel hits will be crucial to your survival. Munchen's seeming ability to take citadel strikes from virtually any angle at times will have a major effect on adjusting your tactics and playstyle on how to play this ship effectively. Right now you might be thinking, what on earth is this ship, and is it worth getting at all? Well, let's start looking at the good stuff. The trade-off for being so lightly armoured is having, in my opinion, great guns and great speed. Let's start with the main battery. Munchen gets 8 150mm guns in a 4x2 turret setup, equally divided with both 2 fore and 2 aft, with a very nice reload time of 5 seconds. These turrets have a 180-degree turning time of 18.6 seconds, a max firing range of 16.6 kilometers, with a max dispersion of 137 meters. These 150mm caliber guns are capable of firing both high explosive and armor piercing shells, and both feel incredibly strong. Munchen's high explosive shells with both signal flags and demolition expert have an 11% fire chance, are capable of penetrating 38mm of armor, so no IFHE is required, and they are capable of inflicting a max damage of 1700 per shell. 8 shells every 5 seconds can ensure by simple volume alone that Munchen can be a very effective fire starter. Combined with very good penetration, it gives Munchen some very good damage potential. Munchen's armor piercing is not to be underestimated either, capable of inflicting some very nice damage, with a max of 3750 per shell, so make sure to take advantage whenever broadsides present themselves, especially when at closer ranges. Both high explosive and AP rounds have identical shell ballistics of 875 meters per second, so no adjustments are required in leading targets when swapping out shell types, which I always find quite useful. Munchen does have some secondary armament consisting of 4 105mm guns in 2 dual turrets, with a reload time of 3.4 seconds, a max firing range of 4.7 kilometers, firing high explosive shells with a max damage of 1200, capable of penetrating 26mm of armor, a fire chance of 8%, and a decent shell speed of 900 meters per second. Nothing too much to write home about, and if they are firing, you're probably already in a do or die situation, and being so lightly armoured, they won't save you from a watery grave. Should you find yourself in such dire straits, in close quarters, Munchen does have some decent torpedo armament. Munchen gets 2 X4 launchers, one on each side, with 6 kilometers in range and a torpedo speed of 64 knots. These are the typical German torpedoes, with decent concealment of 1.3 kilometers, and are capable of inflicting a max damage of 13,700, and have a reload time of 90 seconds. The firing angles are not amazing, but considering how often you will get to use them in the open, it's not game-breaking. They will be mostly limited to use around islands, being able to close the distance and ambush targets, or defend against those attempting to push your position in cover. I would definitely advise against being brave and attempting to rush down enemies in the open, trying to torp targets simply because you have them, because it won't work. You will melt long before you even get in range in most cases. When it comes to AA defense, Munchen gets a rating of 45. In this game I was fortunate to get without carriers, as it allows more freedom for cruisers to operate, including dropping detection should incoming fire get a bit too intense. Munchen gets 32 30mm guns, and the secondary 105mm guns also double up as AA defense. They pump out an average continuous damage of 174, but the vast majority of this is close range damage, and only fires 1 flak explosion per salvo, with a max damage of 1330 and a max firing range of 5.2 kilometers. A little underwhelming, but to be expected at tier 7. Munchen does get access to the fighter consumable to help, and should you find yourself in a lot of carrier games, you do have the additional option to swap out hydroacoustic search for defensive fire. When facing tier 8 carriers, I advise staying close to another cruiser, and combined with access to both of these consumables, it will allow you to deter many attacks for the most part. Again, don't expect miracles. Against a determined carrier player, all you can do is maximize your survival by positioning yourself to make it as costly as possible to strike you. Now we get to another one of Munchen's great strengths, and it's its high speed and decent maneuverability. With a base speed of 36 knots, it's the fastest tier 7 cruiser in the game right now, even surpassing the fast-moving Japanese cruiser Myoko. Combined with a turning circle radius of 690 meters and a rudder shift time of 8.3 seconds, Munchen skids across the waves, making relocation and avoiding enemy fire at range quite effective. It's the main reason I've gone for the propulsion mod instead of rudder shift, to utilize a very stop-go tactic to help throw off the enemy's aim. When you mount the Sierra Mike signal flag, you can max out the top speed to 37.8 knots. I would always advise using a strategy of employing island cover as much as possible to utilize the high shell arcs of the Munchen's main battery, as a target that can't be seen or detected is always the most difficult to deal with. But when in open water, Munchen at long range can be quite a nasty little opponent to deal with. Master your maneuvering by constantly adjusting speed and direction to be as unpredictable as possible, while all the time raining down fire on the enemy. It's a dangerous game in the open, but a thrill a minute while it lasts. And with practice it can be oh so effective. Finally, we come to Munchen's concealment rating of 70, which is very competitive when using Concealment Expert, of course. This equates to a surface detection range of 9.4 kilometers and from the air at 5.2 kilometers, which is the same range as your AA. Having good concealment can be incredibly powerful for a cruiser, allowing you to dictate your range more easily. 9.4 kilometers is so good it will allow you to outspot the vast majority of enemy cruisers you come up against. I've even had tier 9 games with no destroyers where I was able to play the DD role and cap undetected in many situations. Should you team up with friendly destroyers and utilize their smoke screens, Munchen can be detected at 4.9 kilometers in smoke when firing the main battery, so not bad at all. All in all, Munchen feels pretty well balanced, and I've had a lot of fun games so far. High DPM with the ever-present threat of deletion, should one overextend and bite off more than one can chew. Are you interested in getting the Munchen for free? Well, make sure to like the video by hitting that thumbs up button below. Leave your in-game name and the server you play on in the comments section, and make sure you are subbed to the channel. And when Wargaming approve this review, I'll be able to randomly draw and give away one Munchen to the lucky winner for free. I've been able to give away a lot of free premium ships thanks to Wargaming, so make sure to enter the giveaway. I've got additional giveaways on both my Discord and Twitch stream, so feel free to come on over and say hi at any time, and maybe win some additional World of Warships goodies in the process. I hope this video provided you some useful information on the Munchen, whether you are interested in picking it up or not. So until the next time, I'd like to thank you once again all for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more. Take a moment to check out some of my most recent videos and leave a comment below. And until the next time, keep sailing it like you stole it.